The second round of the 2021 CMMCS season took place under the grey skies at Brands Hatch on the 8th of May 2021. Qualifying on a Saturday slot was scheduled for 20 minutes in the rain, and all of the drivers, 34 of them entered for this second round of the season, were trying to find some space to get out there and get a solid lap time in. But with the conditions as they were and limited time available for the event to test out the Grand Prix circuit, many drivers would be hitting the track for the first time around the Grand Prix circuit, and for some, the first time ever in the rain. The big grid this time being separated into a number of classes once again. Of course, we had A through D and T1 through T4, and also TP, and also Classics and VWs. So once again, a huge diverse grid of cars, which was fantastic to see out on the Grand Prix circuit. And of course, being in the rain as well, the gaps were a little bit easier to find as the field was spread over a bigger margin. The rain is always seen as a great leveller in motorsport, and while we did have some of the usual names at the top of the standings, some notable performance in the wet qualifying session were Ken Lark in his VW Corrado and also Tony Absalom, both putting in some pretty impressive laps in their Volkswagens. And after his issues in qualifying at Lydden Hill, Rod Birley sprang to the top of the qualifying sheets for the Brands Hatch Grand Prix round, setting pole position in class and overall with a 152.9. A big gap back then to second place, Ken Lark on a 159.7. That great lap gave him the pole position in the Volkswagen category. In Class B, it was Paul Watson in his BMW E36 M3. Class C pole went to Martin Scott. Class D went the way of Andy Woods-Dean in his Honda Civic. And into the Classics category, a great lap from Alan Hersey in his Reliant to put him pole in class. Class T1 pole went to Jonathan Bevan, Class T2 went to Dave Hutchins, and in Class TP it'll be Richard Sanders once again taking pole position, but it looked like it's going to be a fantastic battle between the three Ford Fiestas in Class TP for the victory once again. One day later, and it looked like a completely different season at Brands Hatch as the first race got underway on the 9th of May under beautiful sunny skies at Brands Hatch. Rod Birley would lead from the 4, but he had a huge amount of cars in his rearview mirror looking to take that elusive position away from him. Shooting up to Druid's hairpin for the first time in the dry, understandably the field was quite cautious, and the mixed up field definitely left some drivers near the back of the grid needing to make some progress in their quicker cars. With only 2 formation laps to understand these dry conditions, of course there was a lot of learning to be done in a very short space of time, as these races around the Grand Prix circuit only being 15 minutes long, meaning laps were limited and knowledge was not easily gained. Rod Birley's advantage in the dry wasn't quite as much as it was in the wet, but still he was starting to pull out a commanding lead at the front of the field. Cars were trying their best to chase him down, but he looked to have the pace advantage, and if anyone started putting in quick lap times, he was able to respond pretty quickly. Undoubtedly some of the stars in qualifying were the not so powerful Volkswagens who've qualified on the first and second rows of the grid. Some seriously impressive driving from them. It was great for them to add further diversity to this amazing grid of CMMCS cars, and it's been awesome to see them on track fighting amongst some more powerful cars, it has to be said as well. Some powerful cars had started right from the back of the grid through either issues in qualifying or qualifying out of sessions due to problems on the Saturday. They were fighting their way through the field, and it was impressive to see some of the places they were able to go for overtakes on the slower cars, even out on the Grand Prix circuit where overtaking is most certainly at a premium due to the very tight and twisty bits that make this circuit layout one of the most historic in world motorsport. Lots of drivers are also testing out new machinery for the first time at this event. Gideon September in his Honda Civic for the first time was an exciting one after being with the championship for many years. But it was Rod Birley who is synonymous for one car, the instantly recognisable Ford Escort WRC. It was at the front and starting now to pull away from the cars behind. Some lovely slow motion footage here out on the Grand Prix circuit, showing some of the older cars breaking traction at the rear. Unfortunately for Alex Sidwell, he had a moment coming out of Druid's hairpin about halfway through this race. Unfortunately for him, he lost a lot of time getting the car manoeuvred and back in the right direction, which saw him lose a heap of positions, which were of course important because the results from race 1 would determine the grid for race 2. And Nick Sutton in this incredible Mitsubishi Lancer was putting in a fantastic performance, and due to Alex Sidwell's spin would move up to second position. He had started 11th place on the grid, so an incredible comeback through the field from him to bring it up into the overall top 3 and eventually 2nd place overall. The now synonymous battle in Class TP between the blue and the silver Fiestas was getting close, and we'll come back to that a little bit later on, as the battle between Bevan and Scott was hotting up inside the top 10 as well. It's really fantastic to see the onboard footage showing us how drivers are on the edge trying to get every last tenth of a second, especially around this Grand Prix circuit. It truly is some special footage to behold. Down the main straight, Bevan loses a little bit of top end over the BMW, but their battle will resume shortly. But the great thing about having such a huge grid here on the Grand Prix circuit was that there are battles absolutely everywhere. Wherever you looked, there was somebody overtaking another, drivers going side by side, and even though we didn't have spectators in attendance, it's something we can certainly look forward to in the next couple of rounds, with the Intermarques at Brands Hatch soon, and then also at Mallory Park for the next round for all series. Jonathan Bevan once again trying his best to get past Martin Scott's BMW, a lovely livery for both of them in this 2021 season. The move looked to be done down the inside. Has Bevan managed to get the overtake complete? It looks like he has. Will Scott have the speed on the exit to get back past? It doesn't look like it. The two are very evenly matched in a straight line, so a good move, using some of the traffic to his advantage, giving Jonathan Bevan the position over Martin Scott in the end. So after a fantastic 15 minutes of racing, let's run down the winners in each class who raced with us here this weekend. It was a great result for Ian Seal, who managed this time to get the advantage over Richard Sanders in Class TP. And in the Classics category, possibly a surprise result for Martin Reynolds in his Ford Anglia. Moving our attention to the Volkswagen class, it was close throughout. Eventually though, the win in that class going to Tony Absalom in his lovely Volkswagen Golf Mark II. The TinTops, as ever, putting on a great show, and in TinTops T2 it was Dave Hutchins in his number 49 Honda Civic who took the top spot within class after a fantastic drive on the limit throughout and some fantastic lap times too. Jonathan Bevan eventually coming home in a very happy P1 in T1. Finally, focusing our attention on the Super Saloon category, starting off with Class D. It was 6th place overall for Sean Fairweather in his Ford Sierra Cosworth. Best lap of a 145.4, really good considering the car's class. Martin Scott won Class C in the Super Saloons, and Class B, it was 3rd place overall for Ronan Bradley in his E36 BMW. And of course, Class A was won by Rod Birley, but a notable performance from Nick Sutton in his Mitsubishi Lancer with a rookie cross on the back. So a fantastic race to start off the day here at Brands Hatch, but we'll be seeing you very soon for a review of the second race of this event. A very busy weekend for the drivers, but I'm sure they enjoyed it, especially once the sun came out. So we'll see you in a few days' time for a review of the second race at Brands Hatch Grand Prix with the CMMCS in 2021.